Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Yes, Mother, you can start.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayana Namaskritya Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudirayet Shinvata Swakatha Krishna Punya Shravana Kirtana Vidyantostahya Vidunoti Suhisatam Nashtaprayesu Bhadresu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavate Uttama Sloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naistiki Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshururmilitam Mena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Mukam Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langayate Girim Yat Kripatamaham Bande Sri Gurum Dinatarinam. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 4, verse 14 and 15. Verse 14. Yadve aksharam nama giriritam nrinam sakrita prasangat agham asuhantitat pavitra kirtim tam alanghya sasanam bhavanaho dvesti sivam sivetaraha. Synonyms. Yat, which, dviaksharam, consisting of two letters, nama, named, gira iritam, merely being pronounced by the tongue, nrinam, person, sakrit, ones, prasangat, from the heart, agham, sinful activities, asu, immediately, hanti, destroys, that, pavitra kirtim, whose fame is pure, tam, him, alanghya shashanam, whose order is never neglected, bhavan, you, aho, oh, dvesti, envy, shivam, Lord Shiva, Shiva itaraha, who are inauspicious. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Sati continued, my dear father, you are committing the greatest offense by envying Lord Shiva, whose very name, consisting of two syllables, Si and Va, purifies one of all sinful activities. His order is never neglected. Lord Shiva is always pure, and no one but you envies him. Purport. Since Lord Shiva is the greatest soul among the living entities within this material world, his name Shiva is very auspicious for persons who identify the body with the soul. If such persons take shelter of Lord Shiva, gradually they will understand that they are not the material body but are spirit soul. Shiva means Mangala or auspicious. Within the body, the soul is auspicious. Aham Brahmasmi. I am Brahman. This realization is auspicious. As long as one does not realize his identity as the soul, whatever he does is inauspicious. Shiva means auspicious, and devotees of Lord Shiva gradually come to the platform of spiritual identification, but that is not all. Auspicious life begins from the point of spiritual identification, but there are still more duties. One has to understand one's relationship with the Supreme Soul. If one is actually a devotee of Lord Shiva, he comes to the platform of spiritual realization. But if he is not intelligent enough, then he stops at that point, only realizing that his spirit soul, Aham Brahmasmi. If he is intelligent enough, however, he should continue to act in the way of Lord Shiva, for Lord Shiva is always absorbed in the thought of Vasudeva. As previously explained, Sattvam Vidhutam Vasudeva Sabditam. Lord Shiva is always in meditation on the lotus feet of Vasudeva Sri Krishna. Thus, the auspicious position of Lord Shiva is realized if one takes to the worship of Vishnu, because Lord Shiva says in the Shiva Purana that the topmost worship is worship of Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva is worshipped because he is the greatest devotee of Lord Vishnu. One should not, however, make the mistake of considering Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu to be on the same level. That is also an atheistic idea. It is also enjoined in the Vaishnavya Purana that Vishnu or Narayana is the exalted supreme personality of Godhead, and no one should be compared to him as equal, even Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma, not to speak of other demigods. Verse 15. Yatpadapadman Yatpadapadmam mahatam manolivir nisevitam brahma rasa savarthivihi lokasya yadvarsati chasiso arthinas tasmai bhavan drihati vishwabandhave. Synonyms. Yatpadapadmam, the lotus feet of whom? Mahatam, of the higher personalities. Manaha alivihi, by the bees of the mind. Nisevitam, being engaged at Brahmarasa, of transcendental bliss, Brahmananda. Asava arthivihi, seeking the nectar. Lokasya, of the common man. Yat, which, Varsati, he fulfills. Cha, and Asisaha, desires. Arthinaha, seeking. Tasmai, towards him. Lord Shiva, Bhavan, you. Drihati, are envious, Vishwabandhave, unto the friend of all living entities within the three worlds. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. You are envious of Lord Shiva, who is the friend of all living entities within the three worlds. For the common man, he fulfills all desires, and because of their engagement in thinking of his lotus feet, he also blesses higher personalities who are seeking after Brahmananda, transcendental bliss. Purport. Ordinarily, there are two classes of men. One class who are grossly materialistic, want material prosperity, and their desires are fulfilled if they worship Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, being very quickly satisfied, satisfies the material desires of the common man very quickly. Therefore, it is seen that ordinary men are very much apt to worship him. Next, those who are disgusted or frustrated with the materialistic way of life worship Lord Shiva to attain salvation, which entails freedom from material identification. One who understands that he is not a material body but a spirit soul is liberated from ignorance. Lord Shiva also offers that facility. People generally practice religion for economic development to get some money, for by getting money they can satisfy their senses. But when they are frustrated, they want spiritual Brahmananda or merging into the Supreme. These four principles of material life, religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation exist. And Lord Shiva is a friend of both the ordinary man and the man who is elevated in spiritual knowledge. Thus, it was not good for Daksha to create enmity towards him. Even Vaishnavas, who are above both the ordinary and the elevated men in this world, also worship Lord Shiva as the greatest Vaishnava. Thus, he is the friend of everyone, the common man, the elevated men, and the devotees of the Lord. So no one should disrespect or create enmity towards Lord Shiva. End of purport. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pacharine Vishesha Shunyavadi Pasyate Satane Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Gaur Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Ram 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 Hare Hare. I'm seeking blessings from all the assembled Vaishnavas, and thank you for giving me this opportunity to read Srimad Bhagavatam to purify myself. Let's summarize both the slokas, 14 and 15. So here Mother Sati is speaking to her father Daksha, that in the verse 14 is saying, like, my dear father, you are committing the greatest offense by envying Lord Shiva, whose very name, consisting of two syllables, that is Si and Va, purifies one of all sinful activities. Lord Shiva is no doubt in a higher position than Daksha, and Daksha was so envious towards Lord Shiva. We see in this material world the nature of mind is to be lusty, to be envious. That's mind's nature. But we have to control our mind from this kind of lusty and envious nature. So how we can control our mind? We can control by practice. Because Bhagavad Gita 6, chapter 6, sloka 35, the Lord is saying, Sri Bhagavan Uvacha अस्मस्यं महाबाहो मनो दुर्निग्रहं चलम् अभ्यासेन tu kaunteya vairagyena cha kriyate. So Lord Krishna is saying in this sloka that, O mighty armed son of Kunti, it is undoubtedly very difficult to curb the restless mind, but it is possible by suitable practice and by detachment. So even if there is any momentary enviness, sometimes this envy nature, lusty desires, it comes to our mind, but we have to control it. It's not like it will not come. It will come because we are not in that level. So it will come, but we have to control. We have to withdraw our mind from this kind of things. So thing is, why we feel envious? We feel envious because we compare ourselves with others and think that she or he has this and that, I don't have that. And this happens due to we identify ourselves with the body, but we have to understand that. So these things comes when like we think we are this body and everything is related to this body. We have to understand that we are not this body, we are the soul, and the soul do not possess anything except serving Krishna. Jivar Swarupa Krishna Nityadas, we are the eternal servants of Krishna. So our very nature is we have to serve Krishna. Mother Sati is saying to Daksha that he is envious to a person who is always completely absorbed in Krishna. Actually, envying a Vaishnava itself, it's our own downfall. If we envy someone, we fall down from our bhakti. In the purport, Srila Prabhupada describes that in the purport of this verse 14, Srila Prabhupada is describing that auspicious position of Lord Shiva is realized if one takes to the worship of Vishnu. Because Lord Shiva says in the Shiva Purana that the topmost worship is worship of Lord Vishnu. Lord Shiva is worshipped because he is the greatest devotee of Lord Vishnu. Vaishnava Nama Yatha Sambhu is the topmost Vaishnava. One should not, however, make the mistake of considering Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu to be on the same level. In the same purport, Prabhupada is mentioning this one. We should not consider Lord Shiva and Lord Vishnu in the same level. That is kind of like atheistic idea. It is also enjoined in the Vaishnava Purana that Vishnu or Narayana is the exalted supreme personality of Godhead, and no one should be compared to him as equal, even Lord Shiva or Lord Brahma, not to speak of other demigods. No one is compared to Vishnu. In verse 15, Sati is speaking, Mother Sati is speaking to her father Daksha. Thus, Daksha is disrespectful to elevated personality like Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva is not an ordinary personality. So, Vaishnava Nama Yatha Sambhu is the topmost Vaishnava. So, we see like Lord Vishnu and Shiva, we can say like milk and yogurt. We can prepare yogurt from milk, but yogurt cannot be converted back to milk. Similarly, Lord Shiva, if we can consider like Lord Shiva as yogurt, so Lord Shiva is an expansion of Supreme Lord, but he is not as powerful as the Supreme Lord. Lord Shiva's position is highly exalted. Here, one side is Sati's father, Daksha, and other hand is her husband, Lord Shiva. Even though she is not invited to her father's house, still she insisted going to her father's house, hoping that she may be able to enlighten Daksha. She was hoping maybe she is able to enlighten Daksha to understand his foolishness of his offensive attitude towards Lord Shiva. Here, Lord Shiva is described as friend of all living entity by Sati. So, as per Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 6, Chapter 3, verse 20 and 21 is describing the 12 Mahajans. Those are the 12 authorities of religion. Swayambhu Narada Sambhu Kumara Kapilo Manu Prahlada Janako Vishmo Valir Vayasakir Vayam. We see Sambhu. Sambhu means is none other than Lord Shiva. So he is one of the Mahajans. Here Daksha is committing great offense by envying towards Lord Shiva. Shiva means all auspicious. He is auspicious for every living entity. Oh, we know Lord Shiva drank the whole poison and he kept it in his throat. Why? Because he wants to save other living entities. Lord Shiva always blesses the conditioned soul so they can progress in their spiritual path. So he is a friend of everyone. So we know in the previous cantos when Devavati she inquired from Kapila Deva how to recognize a saintly person. And in response to her question, Kapila Deva describes a saintly person is very tolerant, very merciful, friend of all living entities, is not inimical to anyone. So you see, Lord Shiva is no doubt a great saintly person. And like Lord Shiva is a friend to everyone. He is so merciful and tolerant also. He's tolerating Daksha's behavior. So Daksha's anger towards Shiva was just due to false ego. Because Lord Shiva was totally absorbed in meditation on the Supreme when Daksha, the previous story, why Daksha is disrespecting Lord Shiva. So when Daksha walked into the sacrificial arena. He thought Lord Shiva did not, respect him, but actually Lord Shiva was totally absorbed in the meditation of the Supreme Lord. That there was no need of Daksha to be angry, but because he was so proud of his role he was given. So, what kind of role Daksha was given? He was given a role to expand the population. Uh, so Daksha was so proud of his position that he was like so angry because out of false ego he was grossly misusing his position. So we know from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 4, Chapter 3, verse 17, that Vidya, Tapo, what are the six, verse, particularly from Srimad Bhagavatam, it describes how the six material qualities, they are the obstacles in the progress in our spiritual path. That is Vidya, Tapo, Vita, Bapur, Vaya, Kulehi, Satam, Gunei, Sadvir, असत्तामेतरहि स्मृतौ हतायां भृतमान दुर्दशः स्तब्धा न पश्यन्ति हि धाम vayasham. Although the meaning of this verse is although the six qualities, they are like education, austerity, wealth, beauty, youth, and heritage are for the highly elevated. One who is proud of possessing them becomes blind, and thus he loses his good sense and cannot appreciate the glories of great personalities. You see, these six qualities, they are like if we are misusing them, everything is given by Lord Krishna. If we are misusing them, then we'll never progress. They are the main obstacles in our spiritual progress, in our devotional activities. Rather, we have to education. If we have good education, we have to use that in Krishna service. So in the purport, we see in purport this 15, verse 15, Srila Prabhupada describes ordinarily there are two classes of man. One class is who are grossly materialistic, want material prosperity, and their desires are fulfilled if they worship Lord Shiva. Lord Shiva, being very quickly satisfies the material desires of the common man very quickly. Therefore, it is seen that ordinary men are very much apt to worship him. Next, those who are disgusted or frustrated with the materialistic way of life worship Lord Shiva to attain salvation, which entails freedom from material identification. One who understands that he is not the material body, but his spirit soul is liberated from ignorance. Lord Shiva also offers that facility. In the purport, it is mentioned that people generally practice religion for economic development to get some money. For by getting money, they can satisfy their senses. Of course, if you want to like do some sense gratification without money, this is not possible. So people, they practice religion for economic development and to get some money. But when they are frustrated, they want spiritual Brahmananda or merging into the Supreme. These four principles of material life, that is religion, economic development, sense gratification, and liberation, they exist. And Lord Shiva is the friend of both the ordinary man and the man who is elevated in elevated in the spiritual knowledge. Thus, it was not good for Daksha to create enmity towards him. Even Vaishnavas who are above both the ordinary and the elevated men in this world also worship Lord Shiva as the greatest Vaishnava. Thus, he is the friend of everyone. The common man, Lord Shiva is friend of everyone, the common man, the elevated man, and the devotees of the Lord. So no one should disrespect or create enmity towards Lord Shiva. The Vaishnava quality is Trinadapi Sunichina Tarureva Shaishtuna. This attitude helps the devotees to progress in the spiritual path. We see all these qualities in Lord Shiva. So he was so tolerant towards Daksha's misbehavior. How we can develop the love, this kind of attitude and love for the Lord by chanting continuously the Lord's name, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. With this, I'd like to stop here. Thank you again for giving me this opportunity to read Srimad Bhagavatam today.